As we were conceptualizing the Diablo 3 expansion set, we had a number of lingering plot threads that we wanted to tie up. We wanted to continue the chronicle of the Nephilim hero that you played in the core game, and we wanted to kind of just see what was happening with the rest of the family.
We had to establish our villain for the piece in a way that felt natural and didn't take away the accomplishment of what you had just done, which was to kill Diablo.
Our initial thinking was that Imperius would be our bad guy.
The original plot of the cinematic was basically Tyrael and some crusaders have shown up at this Tomb of Rakkus.
Tomb of Rakkus itself is a Nephilim structure underground. It's the resting place of Rakkus, the champion of the Zakarum, which has now been retooled, so to speak, as a hiding spot for the Soul Stone, just because of its remote location. And the only hope to keep the Soul Stone from getting into the wrong hands really is to hide him.
Tyrael has decided that it's just too dangerous to keep it in heaven. They think everything's going to be fine, and then Bamf, Imperius shows up and changes the whole equation. Imperius basically called Tyrael out for what he considered his foolishness.
You sacrificed everything to be one of them. Was it worth it?
And then he proceeded to slay every single guard in the room and beat the heck out of Tyrael for a bit. And what finally happened was that just before he was about to claim the Soul Stone, Tyrael throws out a line, "I do not fear death." And Imperius says something to the effect of, "Well, we'll see." And so this was our opportunity for the introduction of Malthael, the angel of death. So Malthael shows up, takes all the souls of the guards in the room, and then together he and Imperius leave Tyrael bleeding on the floor and take the Soul Stone. We started out was sort of a brother against brother idea. You had Tyrael and Imperius, two awesome characters that had all this back history. There's a painting that initially ignited some people's imagination that was this painting of Imperius with bloodied gauntlets. And it's just a very arresting idea. We started to think about, Imperius is going to come for the Black Soul Stone. That's the mechanic that we're going for with the plot. But what if he also takes some time to really exact vengeance on Tyrael, who he considers to be a traitor? This is the angel that ripped off his wings and joined the mortals. And so it just seemed natural that Imperius would take a moment to really relish in Tyrael's demise.
We did want to almost kill Tyrael or make him to the point where he was almost dead. And most of the cinematics or the storyboards at that point contained an enormous amount of blood that was going to be included in the cinematic. He was going to be bleeding, possibly from his nose or even his mouth or other parts of the scrapes or cuts on his skin. We need to make that not only look as realistic as possible, but also blend into the performance that we were trying to get from the character, an emotional performance that was going to be very, very hard to maintain.
From a technical standpoint, we looked at doing the blood in a couple different ways. We could involve the effects team and do it as a fluid sim splashing onto the metal, but there's a lot of computation to this. There's a lot of iteration time that's lost.
But in that instance, I think it created the right level of emotionality that we were seeking.
We wanted Imperius to look a little different in this expansion than we wanted in the first game. He definitely has undergone some damage. The Heaven's Gate absolutely collapsed on him.
So his armor, we want to progress in the sense that it had all this wear and tear, all this damage. That was one thing we were playing off of, and we were playing off of how his personality was reflected in his armor.
And we wanted that to echo the thematic truth, that Valor had turned to wrath, and that there was more math going on inside that suit of armor than just, the power of evil itself, is that his whole being was really turning and transforming.
And Imperius by nature is a very reflective character with giant bright wings. He's an angel, and when we looked at it from a lighting standpoint, we're like, okay, how do we get a very bright character to sit into this world now that is supposed to be full of shadow and darkness?
There was an idea that we had that we were very fond of, that When Imperius reaches out to claim the Soul Stone, when he touches it, you would see the hint of a transformation. The idea is that it would be very dark, he would be largely a silhouette, and as he touched it, that silhouette, all the points on his helmet would just elongate slightly.
So some spiky things coming out from the shoulders, like, and then the face or the helmet started to deform.
Sort of much more demonic looking. His eyes would slant inward. He'd get much more of a sinister look on his face. We didn't have a lot of time to accomplish it, but we definitely wanted to suggest that it was going to start happening.